Today my topic is regulatory challenges 3D printed medical implants in the subject of healthcare product development. So in this we are going to see what are the challenges we are facing in a 3D printed implants related to regulations. So the presentation is discussed the regulatory challenges in 3D printed medical implants. So the 3D printing has rapidly expanded in the medical device industry because such as making an prosthetic hand, prosthetic leg, then stents. So it is a growing technology and rapid expanded technology in the world. So to making these 3D printed implants, we would need a proper regulation to ensure the patient safety. So regulatory bodies across the world are working to strengthen the guidelines. So with the help of this guidelines, we are making the product. So understanding these challenges will help more and the adoption and safety. So we are when we know about this, we can know how to make a proper product or proper medical implants. So the regulation ensures that the 3D implanted printed implants are safe for the patients. So this regulation will help whether the implants are safe for the patients or not. It sets a standard for quality throughout the manufacturing process. Proper rules help prevent implant failure or harmful outcomes. So the regulation maintains a consistency in design and a production. It strengthens trust among doctor, the hospital, and the patients. With the 3D, so regulatory bodies like MDR, CDSCO, ISO, there are so many regulatory bodies. So based on this, they will make a product. So FDA regulates the 3D printed implants in the United States. European uses a MDR regulation for approving such devices. India follows CDSCO guidelines for the medical device approval. International standards like ISO also guide a manufacturing practice. It also shows the quality management of medical device, which is ISO. Each region has own rules, making the approval process complex. So different region has a different regulations. So there will be here will be the different regulations in United States. There will be a different regulations. So along to that, their country will prepare their own 3D implants. So the classification of 3D printed implants, so all the 3D printed implants are fall under the category of high risk device categories. So this device is classified based on how and where the implant is used. So patient specific implants make a classification difficult due to the unique design. So patient for a particular different patients need a different type of implants based on their weight, based on their structure, where they have to place. Based on this, the classification will be different. So it is difficult to make a unique design. Custom made implants may follow special regulatory approval pathways. Higher risk device requires stricter testing and documentation because we are going to implant those devices in the human body. So we need a required a higher risk devices. So we have to follow the strict rules because we are going to handle and we are implanting those devices in the human body. So we need a testing and proper documentation what we are from the beginning to end, what the testing we have made, what a process we have made. So we have to document those steps and those processes. So, material regulatory challenges. Many different materials are used in a 3D printing, making a regulation difficult. So they will use different types of materials for making an implant. So those material has different types of regulations. For aluminum, it had different regulations for different properties. For mercury we have a different properties, so the metals have a different properties, so based on that they will prepare 3D implants, because the place we are going to keep those implants is very important. Based on that they will prepare 3D implants. Each must undergo biocompatibility testing before use. Before we are going to implant something, before we are going to prepare something, prepare some 3D implants, we should test whether the material is in biocompatibility, whether it is safe for the patient, whether it is wear resistance. We have to see all this testing before we are going to do the 3D implants. Metal powders used in the implant must meet a strict purity requirements. So the metal powders that we are going to use in the implant should not have any impurities, so the impurities may cause a different damages and different causes for the patients while we are implanting that. So some materials react differently to sterilization methods. So whether it is when we are sterilizing some material after the implant, after the process, after the preparation of everything, while we are sterilizing something, we are making steam sterilization, dry sterilization. For example, when we are using steam sterilization, the metal is the metal the material is heat resistance, it may melt, so we have to use a proper sterilization method because of the material properties. Long-term safety data for many new materials is still limited. The manufacturing process, the 3D process has several steps must be properly controlled. Even a small changes in the printed calibration can affect the implant accuracy. So we have to set everything in a proper way, because a point of calibration is missed, the total implant accuracy will be changed. So it may cause problems and arise of problems. So environment we are printing occurs can influence the final quality. We have to made in a safer environment that should not affect the implants when we are manufacturing. Layer by layer printing makes it hard to maintain uniformity. Producing the same implant design exactly for every time is challenging. For the first time, we are making one type for same implant. For example, we are making a prosthetic leg for the first time. We cannot get as same thing on the next time, so it may differ. So it is very challenging one in the manufacturing process. The quality control issues. Internal defect inside a 3D printing plans are often difficult to detect. So the what some defects inside the 3D implant, it is very difficult to detect whether there is any problem or not. So we have to make a proper steps and proper things to get an accurate and proper 3D implants. Advanced imaging system like CT scans are required for the inspection. So for if there is any defect, or if there is any defect in the 3D implants in the internal structure, we are using the 3D scans for the for the inspection. Post processing steps such as polishing or heat treatment affect the stain. So after the process, after completing every step, we are going to make some polishing or some heat treatment to get hard. So after before a post pro before a post processing, we have some type of quality. After post processing, after doing polishing heat treatment, so the quality may differ. When before the post processing it have a good quality, after this polishing and heat treatment it may affect the strength and also the quality. There is no universal quality control standard for these implants. There is no universal, they will not, there is no standard quality for the implants, those implants. So variability in quality can affect the safety and performance of this. So standardized problem, they are currently globally accepted 3D, no globally accepted standards for 3D implants. So they use different design and different production methods. So there will, so for the different design for the production, different production methods, so there will be not a uniformity in making a 3D printing. So 3D printed implants, so it is difficult in standardized problem. Then standardized setting organization are still developing a guideline. So this organization, standardized setting organization, has still developing a guidelines for the proper standardization for making a 3D printed implants. So technology advances faster than the standards can be created. If they created one standard, the technology advances and it moved to the another standard. So there will be the rapid changes in a technology, though the standards also be changed as a faster as much as faster. So validation and testing challenges. So the testing must show that implants can be withstand real life forces inside the body. So as I said already, it should be biocompatible, then it should be corrosion resistance, wear resistance, so it should be very strength. What if we give a pressure to outside the body, it should withstand the pressure and it should not be damaged, it should be stable. So the implant should be stable. Next one, complex shapes making a mechanical testing more difficult. So when they are making a complex shapes, so the mechanical testing, which we are mechanical testing means physical testing, like when we are applying a force or something else, we cannot identify whether the shapes are getting any damages or not. So because the complex shapes like mm, curves inside the shapes, too many curves inside the shape inside the implants means we cannot find where the damages occur, so it is more difficult. So long-term durability data is often unavailable for the new designs. Fatigue testing is required but difficult for the patient-specific implants. Reference model for comparing performance are limited. So patient-specific device regulation. So each patient needs a different structure and different unique design for the different patients. So applying the traditional mass manufacturing rule is not always possible. So traditional rule will not always possible for manufacture for the mass manufacturing, for the more quantity of manufacturing. The traditional method was not possible. So these implants need, whenever we making some product or manufacturing some product, we need the reports and documentation from the first to till the end. So what are the steps they are taking, what are the materials they are using, what are the printers, what are the shapes, what are some everything, what the from starting to till in, what are the process, what are the materials have done, should be reported and documented for the further purpose. So approvals take longer because each design must be reviewed separately. So if you are making some shapes, for example, if you are make for the um, uh, for example, we are making a stance or else your prosthetic hand, or like if you are making a finger, you have to review separately, you have to get uh, approval separately. For the material you have to get approval separately. For the fixing you have to get approval separately. For each and every step you want to get approval. So the accuracy of a design directly affects the clinical outcomes. So software and design file issue. So CAD files must be highly accurate to ensure a patient implant. Cybersecurity risk exists because the digital files can be altered. Software needs a regular validation to ensure the correct performance. Version control is important to track the changes in design files. Regulators consider the software as an essential part of a device. So post-process regulatory affairs. After the completing a pre-processing method, we are move on to the post-processing method. So what are the challenges to be faced in the regulation after the post-processing, during the post-processing? So heat treatment can, I have already said, heat treatment must change the properties, mechanical properties should, there is 100 percentage of changes in the mechanical property of implant during the heat treatment. So surface finishing must be meet biocompatibility requirements. Some, for example, if it is a heat sensitive material, if heat sensitive material, if you are heat that, the sterilization, we are using heat sterilization, steam sterilization, then dry sterilization. There are so many sterilization method. So for example, as I said already, we are taking as a heat sterilization. When we are heating, when the heat sensitive materials is heated for the sterilization, it may melt, and there will be the alter in the change of structure. So proper cleaning and residue removal is need a strict protocol. So proper cleaning should be there, and should be residue. If there is any dirt inside the uh, 3D implants, we should use a strict protocols to remove that. So every post-processing step must be validated and documented. What are the steps during performed in the post-processing? You should be validated and should be documented for the further purposes. Supply chain concerns. All the material must be traceable from the supplier to the final product. So what are the material to be used? The thing which you are for all the content, the first main point is you should know what the material you should use at the first and up to final product. What are the materials should be used, should have used, you have to find, you have to document it. This material was used to make this, for this material we used to make for this part, you have to documented everything. So printer components and powder must be quality standards. So the components and the printer components and powders which are used to making a 3D printing must be meet a quality of standards. So it should be high quality. It should not affect the patient's it should not affect the patients also. So outsourced parts increase regulatory complexity. Variations in supply can affect the overall implant quality. Complete documentation is required for every supply chain element. Reproducibility problem. The same design can produce a different result on a different. So if you are making one implant in the new company, then and you are making a same implant on another company. So different printers gives on different results. So there will be the difference. So it may arise some problems. Machine to machine variation affects the final implant precision. So if for example there is two machines, a machine A, machine B. So machine A will produce the machine A will prepare a manufacture a product, and same thing will manufacture a same product in B. But there will be the variations. A machine has a different properties and B variation have a different systems and system design, it may differs. So the final precision will be affected. So the powder reuse cycle may change the material properties. So the reused powder can be changed in material properties. Achieving the identical implants each time is difficult. Lack of reproducibility complicates regulatory approval. Clinical trial challenges. Clinical trial must be carefully designed for the unique implants. Small patient group make a statistical analysis difficult. Implant variability reduces trial consistency. Long-term follow-up is required to check the implant performance, ethical approval, and additional time complexity. Ethical issue. The personalized implant arises a question about the ownership of digital files. Patient data used for scanning must be protected. Determining the responsibility for the failure is complicated. Not all patients have equal access to advanced implants. Informed consent becomes a more detailed and complex. Regulatory pathway uncertainty. Regulation for 3D printing are still evolving. Frequent updates make a compliance more difficult for manufacturers. Custom devices are often lack a clear approval pathway. Uncertain rules lead to delays in the approval process. Manufacturer must constantly adapt to the new guidelines. Sterilization challenges. Complex shape can trap the contaminants during sterilization. Sterilization cycles must be validated for each material. Some material may degrade under certain sterilization method. Chemical residue may remain if cleaning is inadequate. Regulators require detailed sterilization documentation. For sterilization, as I said already, the complex shape have some contaminants inside that shapes. So we have to remove in the proper manner that should not affect the material, and that should be cleaned very, that should be cleaned in a proper manner. So after the sterilization process. The documentation should be prepared. What are the sterilization processes used for sterilization techniques? Documentation requirement. Every step of manufacture must be recorded. Each and every step, what you are doing from the first to the end, you have to each step by step record is needed. So batch number for material must be documented. Printer setting need to be stored for traceability. Quality control and testing report must be included. Missing documentation can delay the regulatory approval. Cost, cost and time challenges. Regulatory approval increase the overall cost of implants. Testing and validation require expensive equipment. Small companies may struggle to meet the regulatory demands. Custom implants take a longer to prove and manufacturer. These delays affect the commercialization and the patient access. Risk management issue. Manufacturer must follow ISO 14971 for the risk management. All possible failures modes must be identified and analyzed. Material variability increases the potential risk. Deviation in the printing process must be monitored. Risk control measures are essential before approval. Regulatory difference between the countries. Regulation vary widely between USA, Europe, and India. Companies must prepare a different documents for each region. Some countries require additional testing or certifications. Approval timelines can differ significantly. These differences slow down a global distribution. Future regulatory improvements. Global standardization is needed for the smoother approvals. AI-based inspection may simplify the quality control. Digital workflow will require clear validation rules. Better material guidelines will improve the safety. Faster pathways for the patient-specific implants are expected. Conclusion. The 3D implant offer a major advantages in the personalized medicine. Regulations are still developing to keep up with the rapid movements. Standardization is essential for ensuring a safe implant protection. Patient safety remains the top focus of every regulatory framework. Continued improvement will support a safer and faster adoption of 3D printed implants. Thank you.